Hello, welcome to Album Club Mini Review. That's what I'm calling this now. I'm joined with Dylan
Hey.
and Ben,
Hey,
and unlike them, I remembered to introduce them.
how kind of you.
I'm petty. Anyway, today's mini review is All These Countless Nights by Deaf Havana. It's, I don't know what number actually. I forgot to look
Number
that up.
three.
It's number
Yeah.
3. Are we taking out their first album then? They have a first album.
Oh, I
It's
thought you meant
bad.
which album it was in terms of album club.
Okay.
Oh no, I
I
meant Deaf
meant,
Havana
yeah,
I
I
thought you
was
albums.
meant that as
thinking
well.
like it's our
It's
third
4,
recap.
isn't
Like I
it?
meant, yeah, I was thinking like it's our third recap because it's obviously not just a mini review. It's like recapping the ones we've already done. Like
Yeah, no,
I
I
thought
know.
that's
I
what you
know
meant.
that it's the third album we've done. If you were curious, but
No, sorry,
it's
it's their
their
fourth.
4.
Yeah, it's their fourth.
Yeah, album number 1 is a weird. It's a weird time. Anyway, this was released in 2017, which is the same year as our other album. Wolves, for reference, just in case you've not.
Yeah, in our previous
Okay.
video, yeah.
Album number 2. Um, yeah, I forgot what I'm supposed to say. I've just kind of been rambling while scrolling through the track list.
Do you want me
Am I
to? Do you
supposed
want me
to?
to back up with some other stuff to say about it?
Sure, go for it. They
Go on.
wrote it on tour, didn't they, or something? Or sung it on tour.
Maybe I mean the main thing about it is that it hit 5 in the charts, which
Hey!
is their best ranking album, um, and yeah, it's I think it probably justifies where it got in the charts. But yeah, that's kind of the main things to say about it. So, Charlotte, you wanna lead on the discussion?
Oh, I've gone last the last couple of times. Okay, I'm not prepared for this. Um, for me, I kind of debate between this one and Rituals being my favorite. I think I've said before that Rituals is my favorite Death Banner album. But I think this one is also up there. It's not so strong thematically. Obviously, like Rituals was designed to be a thematic album, whereas this one not so much. But like it's still fun. Um, yeah, I'm just talking absolute gibberish, but my favourite Ashes Ashes as an intro song, in my opinion, is very, very lovely. It's the intro is now. Oh, I have an issue about one of my issues with this album is the intros to songs are so long, and I'm not talking about like the actual when the music starts. I mean, no, as
What
in
the
like when
silence?
yeah, like the silences in between the songs. Like I accidentally played it on shuffle.
Again.
I was in my sister's car
This
and I
is
was
this
like,
is
"You're like
becoming a recurrent theme. You playing
I
albums
I
on
just
shuffle.
screw up so many times. I can't do it." Um, yeah, so I was in my sister's car and I was like, "Oh, you're like this band. Let me play you one of their albums." And I played it on shuffle, and I was like, there were so many times during that because I think it's more obvious when you're playing it on shuffle how long those gaps are. There were so many
Sure.
times where I was like, is the song still playing? What's happening? Yeah. So Ashes Ashes is one of them, but I think it gets away with that for being an intro, like the start of. Oh, I'm playing one. Uh, um, Happiness for me is also a highlight. Like such such a good song. I'm I'm not going into much detail, but that song gets me, man. It gets me. I think like a Ghost and Preload kind of dip. Um, Sing is a bop. I didn't realize Sing was that late on in the album. I thought it was one of the earlier ones.
I've made that
Interesting.
mistake before. I've always thought
I thought it
singers.
was like
I
song
think I
two.
always mistake not mistake the songs, but I mistake the positions of love and sing.
Mm,
I I always think
yeah,
love's at
Love
the
is
end and
early.
yeah.
Um, oh, also it might be because I compare Sing a lot to Sinner in their respective albums, and because Sinner is track 2 in Rituals, maybe that's why I think that Sing is like track 2 on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, and this one has two different endings, doesn't it? Because on Spotify it ends on Pensacola 2013, but that's not the end of the album, is it?
No, it is.
Oh, is
It's
it?
And actually,
bonus tracks don't.
I
I
wasn't
wanted
sure
to
if they were
mention
bonus track.
this
Right.
when I did my synopsis, and like at the time, like we kept talking about Cassiopeia, like we played it and saying like, oh, this should have been included in the album. It is a really good song, but that kind of takes credit away from the album. I think, in my opinion, like Pensacola is, oh my god, such a good ending, and
Mm.
I can't believe that wasn't said at the time, or if it was, why we thought that we needed to listen to Cassiopeia, especially because that's only one of the bonus tracks, and Emephobia is also, well, and Emephobia Part 2 is also a bonus track. So like, I don't really know what was going on there, but like, yeah, I was kind of, when thinking about what to say about this album, I just want to say like I was actually kind of disappointed almost that we kind of did this thing with Cassiopeia, because Pensacola is such a good end.
Mm.
Like the really long outro with the,
Mm.
like, it's so hard hitting, and it just it's a really perfect end to an album. Like, yeah, I was kind of almost ashamed that there was that kind of weird bit with Cassiopeia on the show. Um, I I generally love this album. Like, obviously, I am a huge fan of Deaf Havana, so that helps. but
Hmm.
but I I've got some interest. You know, you said it was not as thematically strong as Rituals.
I well,
I think it's
yeah,
interesting. Like, obviously, Rituals is so over the top on its theme.
yeah. I think that's more what I
Um,
meant.
and I think this is a bit more similar in terms of theme wise to Old Souls, which is another Death Havana album which we've
Mm.
reviewed. It's
Getting
kind of
mad at
again
getting
more like a
old.
collection of stories again.
Mm.
Like, he's got Pensacola, he's got St. Paul's, like a ghost. Like, they're all just little stories. And so, and then it kind of comes under this umbrella of all these countless nights. So I think thematically it's strong. I think it's got some really good songs in it, which start well, ends well. But I think, as already mentioned, there's a little dip in the middle, and they don't quite. There's not quite enough variation, or, well, there is enough variation, but not quite enough interesting variation. They don't quite fully. There's no one song, I don't think, which really stands out as a really different song. There are some which you might say, oh, that's slightly different, and they were kind of doing something with it, but there's not one which is like, wow, that was different. Obviously, still in keeping with the album, but yeah. But generally, I think a really really good album. So that basically was my synopsis. I know I started on one point, but there you go. There's the whole synopsis.
Yeah, Dylan, do you want to go on a rant?
I'm not gonna go on a rant.
Oh.
I've nothing. I've nothing that bad. But um, one thing I'd say is, the more I listen to Deaf Havana, I find myself liking their general spacey sound more and more. Um, and then for some reason they move away from it every now and then. And it's like, they really have something, but I feel, I don't know, maybe they don't spend long enough on the songs. They don't expand in the right way, but I feel they really have something that they move away from, and I think it is. Oh, I forget what song. I think it might be
Like a
Ashes Strobe, but where it like starts spacey and then moves away from it. And I think they do that
Mm.
better in Rituals, if I do remember correctly. Um, Another thing is the actual structure of their songs and their performance, I feel, is quite generic. Um, I was thinking earlier, like a Ghost was an exception to this, but I forget how. This isn't a
Mm.
good this isn't a good start. But yeah, that's my general thoughts is they have something nice going, but I just wish they took more care and time in their individual pieces. Uh, and then general points that are also generally true, like Pensacola's a nice finish and all that, but yeah, there's not many risks taken, I feel, and if they took risks, see really good potential for Deaf Havana.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I do think it is quite a safe album.
yeah, and
I
that's
think I
that's
agree
my
with
general
that.
thoughts. Yeah. So yeah.
All right.
I also like the title of the album because they don't have a title track,
It's also
but the
just
album is
gorgeous
mentioned.
artwork. I love the artwork.
I mean, it's not as good as whatever album we did last week. Can't remember it.
Homesick, A Day to Remember.
That's
Mm.
super good.
Yeah, that was gorgeous.
Get some
This
In
is also
Rainbows love.
pretty. In Rainbows is also quite an interesting artwork, but in my opinion, it is not a notable of glorious artwork. To be fair, none of them are. I wouldn't use glorious for any of them, but stunning. I don't think it
Right.
deserves stunning. It's pretty.
Have we all spoken at this point?
Yeah, I think we have.
Right.
We've all said words, and the words have been said.
So, I'm moving on to ratings.
Yeah, Charlotte?
Okay.
Me go first.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing on these on the
Okay,
recaps.
I can't remember what I gave again. I think I gave it a 9.
I'll share the screen for you guys.
Oh,
9 is very strong.
9 is very strong. I think a lot of that was probably. No, I gave it an 8. Yeah, I stand by an 8. Sorry, typing happened and confused me. Screen share hurts. Yeah, I stand by an 8. I think a lot of that might be personal bias of I like mediocrity, so I like formularity. It feels comfortable for me, and I think there is something about an album that plays it safe that makes me feel a bit warm. Like
Yeah.
this does nothing that scares me.
I mean that's what I feel though. So I think I like albums that take a risk, but when I show you guys, you're often like, why? Like, like what's why? What?
I
But
also
yeah,
feel like I don't appreciate risks enough. I feel like sometimes they just go over my head.
you also don't play an instrument, so you might not understand it in the same way.
True.
But
I
yeah.
used to
So
play
sorry.
guitar, but I was
Continue.
really bad at it.
Continue.
My hand wouldn't do the chords.
Continue.
Sorry.
I'll go up next with my rating.
Okay.
I appreciate, yeah, I appreciate the stuff about how what we've just said about risks, but I still think this album. You can appreciate risks, but you can also appreciate keeping it simple. And I think, sorry, not simple is not the right word. Playing it safer. And I think this is a really, really good album in terms of like true. It's kind of quite truthful to who they are, and I think it's actually a very nice kind of summary of Deaf Havana in a way. There's elements from all over there, kind of, or like we've noticed stuff in this album which we've noticed in other bits of their albums as well, so it kind of feels like a merge of everything we've listened to of them. And I think as an album it works well, with strong openings and strong endings and some really good songs in the middle, plus a strong enough concept, and a decent enough kind of performance by the band. I think it does merit the score I gave it, which was 9. And the only thing kind of which I suppose the only thing which lets it down is that, for me, is that kind of dip in the middle, and the slight lack of really pushing it on some of the songs. But as I said, that's not meant to contradict the earlier point of they should have not been as safe, but there could have been a bit more development while still keeping it safe. So I still think it's a really, really good album. And so, yeah, 9.
Yeah. Okay.
Fun.
So, I should probably say some pros about.
You don't have to.
I know I said well, I think I said the sound could have been a lot more diverged from where I think their greatest strength lie, but it is very pleasing to the ear music,
Hmm.
I will say. Um, uh, and I forgot all the general points you said that I was going to rehash, but yeah, like there is a dip. It's not a bad thing. Like none of these songs are bad, I'll say. Like they're all pleasing to the ear, despite how much more I feel could have been done with them. Um, and I feel like the general sound and progression is very valid. Like it works, you know, and I think they knew that, so that's what kept it. Uh, but yeah, so I think I gave it a 7, which I think is based pretty much around uh their sound, not their song structures or songwriting, because like I said, that leaves for me quite a lot to be desired. But yeah, I'll give it a strong 7. It definitely is more and sounds better and more interesting to me than an album like Wolves that we've done. So yeah, I think I'll give it a 7. But that no, yeah, I'll stick with a 7. Yeah,
I
fine,
think a
I'll
seven
stick there.
is
I'm
quite
not gonna.
a generous score for you, to be fair.
Um,
Like, just
it
looking at the
might
screen
be,
of what you give
but
other
that just
albums that aren't yours.
how pleasing the sound is to me, and based entirely,
Mm.
or at least the majority around that.
Which is quite an important bit of an album. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
especially if you're not necessarily especially if you're not necessarily a fan of the band, the sound is very important. In
We've really
determining.
forced a lot of Deaf Havana on you.
I mean, I enjoy Deaf Havana. It's okay.
Yeah. I remember you hating them at the start.
That
I just didn't
Well,
get
not
it. But
hating
then
them,
there
but
are the odd song where like the bassist appears, you know? The bassist exists in
I
some songs.
remember you having a go at the lead
Oh,
singer.
You know what, Charlotte? You've actually brought stuff back.
That's what I'm
Oh
saying.
yeah, I
That's
remember
what the
now.
rant I was encouraging you to go on.
Some of the mixing is very questionable, I'll say. Oh, you know what? Give it a 6. Give it a
Oh
6. I remember now.
Charlotte, what were you doing there?
no!
Like, talk about a
Oh,
self
I
implosion.
I just want.
remember.
I wanted
I
the
remember on one of the
content,
tracks
but
the
now I've
drums just
dropped the
aren't there.
score.
The tracks, the drum needed reworking. It's just guitar music, really. I found that makes it even more disappointing because the mixing isn't even there.
It's too late. You've said 7 now.
No, he said
No,
6. He said
6
6.
now.
It's
It's a
6.
6. Okay, there you go. I'll leave it at
I'm
6.
sorry.
We were needing to wrap up at that point before Charlotte kind of went off and reminded you of all those things anyway. But yeah, we really should wrap up now
Yes.
for this little
Well,
review, which is kind of egged on a bit.
Hmm.
I what's a like not a mini roll, but a Swiss roll. Still not massively big, but you know, a bit bigger than
What?
a mini roll.
About
Just
what are you on about?
accept the analogy.
Okay. All
Is
right.
it
Well,
analogy? Is that the
thank
right
you
one?
for listening to our Swiss roll of a
Allegory?
mini recap.
The Swiss roll version.
What does that
We'll
mean?
be posting
I
more
don't
videos
know.
soon.